Metaverse consists of two words, meta, which in Greek means beyond and above, and verse, which means universe. So welcome to the Beyond and Above Metaverse. So I am talking today about the general concept of the metaverse and how can it replace the internet. As an entrepreneur growing up, I always had that dream, and I always wished that I was in my 20s when the internet was born. When in 1990s, the first generation of the internet, which also known as Web 1, was born. Because I could simply start a business and take the most from the technological advancements and the hype around the internet. But clearly, I missed that opportunity. Years after, we had Web 2, which the interaction was added to the internet. That is when the social media was born. Again, I lost that opportunity to start my business on that generation. So I was very cautious and aware on the next generation of the internet to come, because that would have been my era. And boom, years after, we had the third generation of the internet, also known as Web 3. A decentralized web that not only has the concept of interaction, but also ownership of the internet. So now you can own digital assets and digital economy on the internet. And one of the implications of the metaverse, of the Web3, is the metaverse. So naturally we come to the next question, that what is the metaverse? So Metaverse is a collection of 3D virtual worlds in the form of the internet. So if you're right now using the internet on your flat 2D screen on your phone, on the Metaverse, you'll be in the form of an avatar and living inside the Metaverse. So yeah, I know this is not me, like particularly, but it's supposed to be a premium version of me. So like, yeah, the one problem on the Metaverse is that you can see this, buy that, and get this. So there are some challenges which we will get to, but this is not a threat. It's a very minor one. But the idea is that on the metaverse, you will be living immersively inside 3D worlds. You will be connecting to people, businesses, and they're all going to have something to do with the reality, hence why virtual reality, right? So the concept of metaverse is quite straightforward. Throughout history, we have developed more mediums and more communication platforms to get more engaged. There was a time that we were reading long text, and then we went to shift-in pictures, and then short clips. There was a time when my grandfather used to walk to the store to buy a newspaper, whereas right now, he sends me cute pictures of puppies and short clips of Amber Heard and Johnny Depp on where? On TikTok. My grandfather, not email, not fax, TikTok. So raise your hand if your grandparents are on social media. Come on, guys, no judgment. Okay, so for the record, we have 60% of the people raising their hands. The rest of the 40%, may God bless the souls of the great-grandparents. But the idea is that if we can see our grandparents using social media, which, by the way, WhatsApp is a social media, and there should have been more hands up. If we can see that and believe that, why is it so difficult for us to believe that businesses will be on the metaverse? In fact, over 70% of the brand premiums are already thinking about XR, extended reality, and metaverse strategies. And the same way that our agency is providing, for example, digital marketing strategies, search engine optimization, soon we will have all media marketing agencies providing the services of go-to-market strategy for metaverse or metaverse marketing strategies, because simply that would be the future, right? And for the past 12 months, we were doing a lot of research and development on the metaverse because the concept was very new. There were very limited information about the metaverse online. So we had to use a lot of our own creativity into it. We need to work with architects, we had to work with scientists, neuroscientists, we had to work with sort of different designers to come up with making 3D immersive virtual worlds. And I want to tell you some of the differences between traditional websites and metaverses. So, on the metaverse websites, or per se platforms, you're no longer going to have a menu or map. Your hand will be your all-in-one gadget. There is no need for you to have a menu or map because simply with one hand and very least interactions, you would be traveling everywhere you want. There is no need for search bars because you would be simply having personal agents and personal assistants on virtual reality engines. There's no need for you to have any keyboards or mouse because you would be having real interaction with people, with robots, and future scammers probably, but the idea is that you will be talking. There will be no apps, so you won't need to travel in between apps, okay? The idea is that you will be teleporting and changing 3D worlds. And Metaverse should become very convenient to build the foundation for us to travel in between 3D worlds. And finally, the web URLs don't really make sense as such, because that would be replicated by the place and the time you are on the Metaverse. So, given this information and this general thoughts about the Metaverse, the next question that I get asked pretty much every day is that, when will this happen? If you believe Metaverse is going to change their lives and it will replace the internet, okay, when will this happen? In order for me to answer this question, I need to tell you there are two aspects. One of the aspects is a technological foundation. The other one is the market. Because for Metaverse to have a future, they need to have an industry. They need to have a market. The demand and supply must meet, and it must make sense. So let's talk about the tech part. So the tech part consists of two parts, software and the hardware. Software is being built on real big multi-billion-dollar toolkits engines, which are running very great. So software is really well advanced. However, the hardware is really under development. So if you can see here, clearly this is too big, too heavy, and also looks like my grandma's purse, and also other things that I can't share on TEDx platform, but it's not convenient, okay? And it's very big, and there is a massive competition among big tech companies to come up with the most lightest, most accessible, and most convenient hardware for the Metaverse. Companies such as Sony, Microsoft, Facebook, HTC, Apple, you name it. However, talking about the market, there is a concept in marketing called crossing the chasm, and it was first raised by Geoffrey Moore. The idea is, how can you sell a new technology to the mass market? Because many technologies fail simply because they can't get there from early adopters, from early adopters all the way to the mass market, and that is a big problem. So when a product is launched, you have the innovators and the early adopters. They care about the technology, not about the market. Then you have the early majority and then the late majority. They only use a product once they have enough references and it's already been established. After that, you have the laggards. These are the old schools. They're people who don't like technology. They're people who only use technology if it's a requirement and if it's a must. So a very great example would be smartphones. When smartphone came, we had many people working on the phones, and then we had the rest of the people, and then the very end were the laggards. So my grandmother, my grandfather, we had to force them to buy a smartphone, which we greatly regretted. I used to have like 4 WhatsApp group chats. Now I have around 160, and I can't exit any of them. So I deeply regret that decision. But anyway, the idea is that right now on the Metaverse, we have 400 million active users per month. That is a very big number. However, it's only 8% of our internet users, which are around 5 billion a month. So that's around 8%. We are in the early adopter stage on the Metaverse. And in order for them to cross the chasm and become the new norm, they need to hit that 20%, which is around 1 billion users per month. And that is when I think we will start seeing Metaverse becoming the norm, and we start seeing the massive shift from the internet, as we are used to the Metaverse. However, this whole thing will not be possible without its challenges and threats. And throughout 12 months ago, we were very grateful to work with many different leading experts on the Metaverse. I worked with some neuroscientists, with some designers, with some developers. I also worked with some very, very interesting figures about manipulating Metaverse within different segments and industries. I got to work with many different people in all around the world, and the journey was very pleasant and rewarding. However, I saw some really challenging threats and facts that truly scared me. You might argue, as a business perspective, these are all opportunities, and I agree with you. However, from any ethical perspective, these are nothing but threats to our society. And hence why I want to raise awareness about them. Because if we don't control it today, I am very sure it will come to the time that it will be simply too late. I will be talking about just a few of these challenges. The number one is data. This is no longer about tech companies controlling your search history or simply getting about your social media activity. No. They are now going to have your brain activity. They will see your brain functionality. And I worked with some neuroscientists on some projects, and it was very shocking and scary for me to see how much data they can extract by simply your eye movements, your hand movements. And my biggest question is, where will that data be used? How are we going to get the information and the privacy about usage of our data? And that is a big threat, in my opinion. The second part, and the second challenge, is addiction. There was a conspiracy theory that was saying the world will go to the point that people don't want to live in their physical reality because they are very used to their virtual reality life. So the addiction is very true. So my question is, what will happen to our children? That they will be living inside the metaverse. So they are no longer the users of internet, they are the citizens of the metaverse. Imagine GTA, but they will be living it. They will be the person who in GTA. And sky is the limit with all the things that can possibly happen to them. The next part is the moderation and regulation. I've been enough in this industry to tell you there is very limited regulations and moderations there. We created our own token, our own cryptocurrency. We did our own non-fungible tokens. We created our own NFT marketplace. We worked on many different aspects of Metaverse. And pretty much there were no limitation for us in terms of legal aspects. And what does that tell you? There are some companies that their role is to control the internet for hate speech, terrorism, harassment, and all these kind of things. However, what is exactly going to happen on the metaverse? Who is in charge of monitoring and regulating the metaverse? It breaks my heart to tell you there have been over 15,000 reports by teenagers who reported sexual harassment on the metaverse. And imagine how many more of these harassments has happened without our children even knowing about it. Without even understanding this is an harassment. And my question is, how would our parents even know? There is no screen or big screen to see. It's simply something on their eyes and in their very private and personal lives. So we have very limited moderation and regulations here. And my problem is the shift to the metaverse will happen so fast, so rapidly, so instantly that the decision makers, the governments, the policymakers, the organizations and associations will have no time to moderate it. When you have all brands, all individuals jumping on metaverse to just have a small pie out of this massive opportunity, there is no time for them to regulate then. They have to start today. And hence why it's so important for us to educate people about this. My final part is something that is the most important, yet the most difficult one to explain. Because I lived my life as a marketing and media consultant on social media. And my entire career has relied on social media. And I've seen many times the tech companies say that we are here to connect you. How cute is that, right? Whereas in reality, we all know it's been the tech, it's been the internet that in many cases separated us. And I'm truly believing the metaverse is full of benefits. It's full of advantage, and definitely more advantage than there are disadvantages. However, it all goes down to how we plan our usage and how exactly we're going to use it before jumping on it. So if the idea of life is to have quality time and quality conversations with your family, enjoy the meal, and have a real good sit down, how exactly that would be on the metaverse? When we come to the life that our life is so pleasant, so cool, so attractive on the metaverse, there is no incentive for us to come back and have a chat, have a meal with our family. Because I've lived there, I've been there, and I am telling you, once you go there, it is so addictive, it is so interesting, and it's so fun that anything in this world becomes so boring. I remember I was there, and I was just traveling between spaces, and I was there for around 2 days. When I came back to my life, I hated walking. I never hated walking this much in my life. I was like, oh, really? I have to walk to there? I hate that. Because with one click on Metaverse, I was doing that. And I am telling you, this thing will change our life. So what is my solution? My solution is we need to use our best abilities to educate ourselves, and most importantly, educate our next generation about the metaverse. Because I'm telling you, if you come to the metaverse, if you use the metaverse with no plan and what exactly you want to achieve there, if you don't use the metaverse with a proper plan of action, you will not be using the metaverse. Metaverse will be using you. The metaverse creators will be using you. And it breaks my heart to tell you the same way that with creativity and with design and everything else, sky is the limit and there's no limitation. The same goes with all the difficulties and all the harassments and threats and anything negative. So let's educate ourselves and let's use Metaverse effectively and efficiently with a proper plan. Because if we don't use it with a very well awareness, it will come to the point that we are simply victims of the decision makers of the metaverse. So, one final sentence. If you are not paying for the product, ladies and gentlemen, you are the product. Thank you so much for listening to me, and thank you so much for having me today. Thank you.